Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a special guest with us today, a comedian that you've heard on Apple Music and the Darren Strevlo Show. You've seen him on Roku TV. We both have shows on the Creative Motion Network. He's also worked with Michael Jr. He's a member of the Christian Comedy Association. Oh, and get this, he started his first band in the fifth grade. So he's got that going for him. You got to love that. His comedy influences include Sinbad, Dimitri Martin, and the guy who played Ernest in all those Ernest movies, Jim Varney, by the way.
Yeah.
From colleges to resorts and comedy clubs, he delivers the laughs. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Donnie Stopa. What's up,
All
Donnie?
right. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much. That was an awesome introduction. I appreciate that.
Hey,
I'm
man,
having fun.
listen, I appreciate you being on the show, man. You're doing a lot of really good things, and you come on high recommendation. I got a lot of comedy friends that have been stressing, hey, dude, you got to get Donnie Stopa. So I am honored to have you on the show, and I've done my research on you, man, and you are a very funny guy. And I got to ask you this as far as, okay, we're in the midst of a pandemic, obviously, but so what are you doing to kind of supplement that, and we can't get on stage live. Have you tried stuff on the virtual platform?
All right. So you broke up a little bit, but I think you're asking me what have I been doing outside of just doing stand up in the club because everything was closed. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like,
So,
have you tried comedy on Zoom and so
oh
forth?
my gosh. Yes, I have. I tried the Zoom. It was very awkward. It was not my thing. So since you're a little bit familiar with my comedy, you probably noticed that I do a lot of crowd work. I like to connect with the audience. And if I don't have an audience physically present, that's kind of tough. So, I've tried a Zoom one. I did one and it was just so painfully awkward that I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to just kind of hold off on those. But I've been super busy though. I haven't missed a beat because I've been so my home club was closed for 10 weeks. So it opened up relatively quickly at 50% capacity. And, obviously people were wearing masks and things, but I was only out 10 weeks and I did a lot of YouTube videos and I've been working on, music videos and recording all that stuff. And so, yeah, I've been very busy focusing on making content for the internet and then promoting the Amazon special, which was kind of a bear to get up and running. And then once we did, I was, kind of focusing on that as well. So yeah, just a bunch of online stuff, but not live, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward. I waited for a long time, Donnie, before I actually decided to go ahead and do this because I'm going to hold out and then, okay, fine. We're not going to be back anytime soon. So
Sure. Yeah.
I just went ahead and dove in and started doing the Zoom platform. And it's kind of awkward because the laughs are delayed. You got to get used to get a rhythm and get used to that.
Yeah, that's it.
And,
my timing felt all weird. And yeah, I wasn't feeling the energy or the reciprocal nature of the conversation. So yeah, it was weird. But I do like this though. An interview is fine. Podcasts. I've been on, doing more of those and stuff lately to promote all this stuff that I have coming up. So yeah, I don't mind this, but doing and nobody wants to unmute. Nobody likes to unmute their stuff. And without them laughing, it's very uncomfortable for me.
Now that's another deal. I don't know what's up with that either. I mean, it's like, why would you go to a comedy show and not want to be heard laughing? I don't.
Yeah,
that doesn't quite compute. But people do that.
Yeah, and I know that on professional, platform, the professional Zoom meeting is usually you have to be on mute all the time, so maybe they're just kind of accustomed to that. I don't know, but it just gets weird.
Yeah, it does get weird, dude. And I'm doing it. I've been doing it. It's been interesting, and I mean, this pandemic has taught me a lot of things about patience, Donnie. I mean, I tell you, someone stole a car right in front of my yard the other day, and you know what? I did not get mad, Donnie.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't get mad.
I'm trying to imagine
I,
myself in your position, but okay.
I didn't, and I went
That's
outside and I
amazing.
went, "Oh, that
That's
was my."
so what's what's the secret to, I mean, did you even like, you just kind of were you just apathetic? You just said, somebody's taking my car. That's fine.
Well,
Or
no,
was
then
it
I realized it was my next door neighbor Jeff's car, and I let it go, Donnie.
there you go. There
I
you
was
go.
golden, man. Patience pays off, Donnie. It's a virtue, you know.
I've
But
heard. I've heard.
but so well. Anyway, dude. So yeah, man. I've been doing a little bit of that. Yeah, I want to talk about your special, and I think your screen's frozen there. It's
Is
kind
it?
of freezing in. I don't know if you can refresh your page or not, but hopefully we can keep it going. But the
Let me see
Wi-Fi is
here.
crazy, so you can never tell with Wi-Fi. But
Right,
yeah, but let's
right.
talk about your special though. Millennials, am I right? How did this all come about?
You know, it's interesting. I never set out to do a comedy special for Amazon. Can you see me now? Am I moving around? Am I
Yeah,
no?
your screen froze again
Okay.
for some reason. I
Not
don't
sure
know
why.
why.
I tried to close everything else out that I have. Um, let me try to refresh.
Okay. Donnie Stopa, ladies and gentlemen, stand-up comedian and performer, is on the Maurice Brown show with us. He's refreshing his page, so hopefully he'll be back with us in just a moment. The devil doesn't want this show to happen. I can tell you right now, but we are up and running. The
All
devil's not
right.
going to stop this, Donnie. We're back, man.
We're back.
The devil doesn't want Donnie Stopa to be seen because he's got such a bright light and he's so blessed.
Thank
The
you, sir.
enemy doesn't want this to happen. I'm telling you, dude.
Oh man.
I told you before we went on the air, Donnie. This is the first time I've ever had an issue to this extent, you know. But
Right.
you're extremely talented, man. The devil does not want you to be seen. But guess what? Your light's too bright, Donnie. He can't
That's
stuff
right.
it out, bro.
That's what we got to do. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that's going to happen. We're going to be opposed. That's for sure.
There's no doubt about it. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it, man.
So,
But yeah, so
okay.
tell us about your special. Yeah.
Sure. So I wasn't setting out to do a special. The reason I even booked the show and, got the camera guys, I got, the cinematography guys, I got the audio guys, I got everything set up because I needed tape I had a lot of people requesting tape for, a number of different reasons. And I had an agent reach out to me and say, hey, I want to book you for this, a few different things. And he said, do you have any tape? And I said, well, yeah, but it's not the best. So
Okay.
I wanted to have something that was more marketable, that could, get me some better opportunities, because people were asking, for it. I was like, well, then I should probably deliver it. So that was it.
Yeah.
And I booked the theater. I rented it out. We partnered with, One City Ministries. They're doing awesome work out in Uganda, helping people with clean water systems, sharing the gospel, doing awesome work. So I partnered with them, and they, we raised a bunch of money for them. I mean, the people who came, I didn't raise any money for me. I lost money, but it wasn't really truly a loss. It was an investment, so
Exactly.
I was investing in, just getting the right video and audio to be able to pursue the other opportunities, including the Dry Bar comedy special. So so it wasn't intentional. I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna, I think I should have a comedy special. It just kind of came together. And when I filmed it, I said, okay, well, I want to put it out there. So let's do Amazon. So that was the deal. Oh, Chris Rossetti, what's up, buddy? San Francisco
is a loyal listener and a faithful follower of the show. He knows his comics for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Donnie, that was a great investment. You're going to get everything. I mean, honestly, that's going to go a long way. You're going to get so many more bookings because you did that. I mean, it's gold. What you did was gold. As far as okay, your future and getting your name out there and just getting all types of stuff coming your way. Because you got to have that. You got
gotta
to
have
have
good
that
tape.
stuff.
You gotta have
You
good
know,
tape. That's key. Good audio.
and oh
And,
man,
you know, so I realized how important that was. So we just booked a show in a theater. And, you know, frankly, I didn't know how many people were going to come, but we ended up selling it out. And,
how many showed
you
up?
know, God was good, man. He provided the people. So
How many showed up, Donnie?
about 200. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just under 200 is what it looks a lot bigger in the video. It's actually a really cool looking theater, but it really only, the seating's kind of weird. There's more room where they should put more seats, I think, but you know, it worked out for me.
So were you able to get like a lot of your friends to come out and things of that nature, or just
No,
you were able to just
no.
get people to come out?
No, I mean, you know, I had a few friends come. I had, you know, a couple comics came out to support. And actually, it was the first show my dad ever saw. He physically came out to see that. And other than that, again, God just brought the people. I had nothing to do other than just, you know, putting up flyers and, you know, trying to promote it on Eventbrite and stuff like that. But, you know, again, I really didn't. I was a little nervous. I didn't know how many people were going to show up, if it was because I was investing all this money in getting stuff recorded. I was like, I really hope they show up. And last minute, my phone just started, you know, pinging me with all these, you know, people getting multiple tickets online, and then people were coming into the theater saying, can we get tickets to the show? And well, yeah, we just ended up selling out. It was amazing.
So you donated the proceeds from that show to Uganda, or
right. So One City Ministries, check them out. OneCityMinistries.org. They're an amazing, Debbie, and her husband, man, they are doing amazing things out there. I remember they launched from my church about 15 years ago to go out to Uganda to pursue this. And he's an engineer, so he you know, he basically found all these ways to get clean water to multiple villages, and, you know, again, give people education, clothes, you know, basic needs, and then obviously the gospel. So that is, they're just awesome people. So definitely support them.
That's amazing. I'm thinking about doing a special in December or January under the same circumstances, and trying to just, you know, get maybe 300 to 500 people to come out, get the cameras, everything.
You're freezing up now. I don't know.
What's that?
If you can hear me.
Oh no, I can hear you. Yeah. I'm going to try to do that in December or January. So.
You're back.
Man, I tell you, this is crazy. Yeah, I'm going to try to do it in December or January. The same thing.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
So I'd like to get 300 to 500 people come out and get all the video and, you know, the cameras set up. But I know it's huge. It's a huge mountain to climb as far as the logistics of it, and getting, you know, getting every, you know, you got to pay these cameras guys and so forth. It's a lot of stuff. You were blessed, Donnie, to be able to get that done.
Incredibly blessed. Yeah, I mean, every detail was taken care of that I didn't even foresee. But, you know, it was a lot of work. I mean, because I had to book all the comics and, you know, get them organized, get the live sound and lighting organized, get the cameras and all that stuff, get those guys going while I'm selling tickets, you know, in the lobby. And, you know, I was kind of just running all over the place, really. But again, I just felt like the way it came together, it was what it was supposed to be. So, you know, it was very cool. And I was just glad to be able to get the goal, which was obviously, you know, raising money for One City Ministries, and then also to, you know, to have the tape. So that was great. And again, it's taken me a long way.
And you were able to do it before the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. I didn't see that coming, but yeah, it was January 25th is when we shot that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, dude, I'm thankful in some ways for the pandemic. Get this, Donnie, for the first time in 15 years, my coworker, before leaving the bathroom, washed his hands, Donnie, which I think deserves a round of applause, quite frankly and honestly. I really do. Yeah, and it's a shame we have to applaud that, Donnie, but I like breathing. So
Yeah.
I rather enjoy
Smart.
that.
Yeah, no,
So
it's working out well.
yeah, it's working out real well, man. But wow,
Yeah.
you were blessed. Tell us a little bit about you work with Michael Jr., man. That's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah. Oh, Michael's amazing, man. He's
Okay.
really cool. I mean, do you know him? Have you spent time with him?
I've never met him.
You
No.
froze again. I don't know what you're saying right now. If anything,
Gosh,
but
oh,
I'll
no.
just keep talking. So
Please.
Michael
Oh my
Jr., yeah,
gosh.
that guy
I don't know
is
what's going
legit.
on.
He loves people. He loves God. Um, just one of the most genuine dudes out there, doing what we do. And he's been yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had a music video. I had this idea for a music video. I mean, this was, gosh, 6 years ago. I had
Okay.
recorded this. I recorded the audio. So I recorded the song, had it, ready to go. I did a little promo video about what we were going to do. And I knew we were going to be filming one day in the Dallas area where Michael lives. And he was really the only Christian comic I knew of at the time. I wasn't even familiar with the CCA. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I had, I had heard of Tim Hawkins, but I really, I really wasn't plugged in with the Christian comedy world. So I just kind of sent an email to Laura Smyer at the time. She was kind of like, handling a lot of the admin for them. And then his manager at the time, Craig Crossley, I got in contact with him and he's like, hey, we think this is funny. This idea is funny. We like the song and, we'll see if we can make it, out to the shoot. Cause I was like, well, I just had an idea I just kind of had this vision for this one part of the video where Michael and I would be interacting and it'd be just a fun thing. And I was just looking to connect with another Christian comic. And again, he was the only one I'd heard of because a friend of mine's a pastor, went to that Bill Hybels conference. And yeah, so he went to that leadership summit and then he came back. He's like, dude, you gotta check out this guy. And so, yeah, it was just kind of weird how it worked out. But, literally the day of, I get a text saying, hey, Michael's in, he's going to call you in a little bit. And then, Michael called, we talked, and he showed up and just donated his time for, like an hour, and we shot everything. He had some great input, and it was just, he was just a really cool dude. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then we also, got to talk at the CCA a little bit. I also saw him in town when he came through town, but I accidentally performed right before him at two different little shows that we were doing in Wiley, Texas.
Yeah.
And not my best work. So I was like, oh man, like, cause Michael's like he's probably my favorite comic in the Christian genre. I would say, he's my favorite. So I was like, oh man, that didn't, that didn't go the way I'd hoped. But again, he's super cool. And we're, we're not like super close or anything, but he's just a cool guy and helped me out with a video and all that. So
he's hard to contact. I know I had Jeff Allen on the show a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you've ever met Jeff before, but and obviously, Darren Streblo, he was on the show a few weeks ago. Pretty good, really good comics. Robert G. Lee. I've been able to run across some really good comedians, but Michael Jr. is someone that I have not been able. Have you ever met Bone Hampton?
Bone Hampton, yeah. I was at the CCA as well. Yeah.
So I had Bone on not too long ago as well. Funny guy, Marcus D.Y. I've had a lot of good comics, but Michael Jr., Donnie, is probably, I can't think of a comic that's got a bigger following in the faith-based world than Michael Jr. I mean, Tim Hawkins is pretty close. John Crist. Have you ever met John?
I've never met John, but I know a lot of his friends.
John Crist was really, man. John Crist was really killing it at one point. But
that was like a meteor, shot to the top of the charts there. And I mean, he shot up quickly. Like, I know he'd been doing comedy for a while, but Yeah, that was pretty insane.
Well, John was a grinder. I mean, the guy would travel, hundreds of miles to do an open mic. I mean, he was going all over the country just doing comedy everywhere all the time. He just kept grinding, 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 and it paid off. And that's what this business requires, really, for you to really get to where you want to get to. You just got to work. You got to be willing to get out there and do it as much as possible, and it does pay off. Now, John, thank God, he's on the comeback. He's back out there.
I noticed. So he's starting to put videos out again and all that. Oh yeah, but that guy, he was a hard worker, and that's the thing is, I mean, the people that put in the time, get on stage, make sure they're focused on that. That's it's hard to. It's hard to fake that. You can't fake that really, and because if let's say you have some YouTube videos blow up, but then somebody wants to book you at their comedy club and you don't really have the stage time or experience or act, it's not going to last. That's a flash in the pan.
Well, and that's happening a lot in comedy now, dude. A lot of people are they're selling out comedy clubs based on YouTube videos. And I think
theaters,
I don't follow the stuff that much, but before too long, it runs out on them because, like you said, they don't really have an act. You wouldn't think that they stick around that long, but the views is getting them a lot of money on YouTube. But Donnie, I want to ask you about your journey in comedy, and you have a really interesting story about how your faith influenced the kind of comedian that you've become today.
Oh yeah, you definitely froze again, so I missed part of that, but I will say my comedy journey and related to my faith journey has been really super weird, in a good way, but I started doing comedy as a new Christian. I was very insecure, as most comics are, and I just was noticing that I was just doing open mics, and I was hanging out with all these comics who were very, I would say, cynical and crude, and all the stuff that you may experience at a comedy open mic, especially when you have 30 comics on every mic. So I kind of was trying to negotiate, this church, my newfound faith in Christ, and then also comedy, because I was like, I really have always wanted to pursue comedy, and I feel like I'm gifted to do that. And then so I was like just trying to negotiate that, but then after literally a year of doing open mics, I remember I was in the audience. I was like number 28 on the list, and I'm sitting in the audience, or I'm standing. I remember exactly where I was standing, and all of a sudden I just felt just this conviction come over me. It was said, you got to go, you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I did. I got out of there, and I was like, okay, God, well, I want to listen to you. I don't want to, just
not do what you want to do.
Yeah. I don't want to just do what I want to do. So I actually quit comedy for a while. Ended up joining a Christian band and playing a lot of worship music and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, this feels like a godly thing, and then this was amazing. I was in the band, and we did a Christian music tour. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the Extreme Tour? You ever heard of that? Ted Bruin, a bunch of guys in Nashville kind of started this thing, and it's part of the Luis Palau Evangelistic Association, or whatever that's called. So I'm Luis Palau. I like that guy. So yeah, that they're part of that group, and we went out and like God had kind of orchestrated all these things, along the way. And during my job ended up being like, they actually approached me. Well, let me back up. So we're doing a show. We're doing a show for a youth group, and my guitar player, his guitar wasn't working. So I have like 100 kids just looking at us, and we're just like, and he's like, I don't know, I'm trying to fix it, I don't know. So I just grabbed the mic and I started doing crowd work. I was like, hey man, what's going on? Hey, what's up with that hat? I just started just messing with these kids. It was a blast, and the crowd was just like, they were eating it up. They were erupting, with laughter, and I was like, oh man, that was fun. So the MC for the tour was leaving, and we were still on for like 7 weeks. So I actually kind of had it in my heart to like ask, hey, would you, want me to maybe be the MC for the tour, which I didn't want to assume that they would say yes, but I actually, before I could even ask the tour manager, he approached me and said, hey, so what do you think about being the MC for the tour? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that'd be great. So my job then was to stall in between bands. We had like 6 bands, 7 bands. So every tear down and setup, I would get on stage and I would just, joke around with the crowd, keep them engaged, keep them, entertained. And I was like, man, and I was having so much fun, and it was just so natural for me. I was like, man, I was having more fun doing that than actually playing in the band.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
And then I also met some really good friends of mine now who were part of that tour, who were saying, kind of just saying like, hey, like, have you ever thought about doing comedy? And I was like, oh yeah, I used to do comedy, but I didn't want to really be in that world. And they're like, man, well, you should really think about speaking. And so that's when I kind of like really started revisiting the idea of how am I going to do this, because I don't want to do it the way I was doing it before. And so God just opened up a lot of doors for me to be able to do comedy outside of the cynical, negative, disgusting environment I was in,
I understand.
It was cool.
I understand.
Yeah.
I to be honest with you, Donnie, I actually, do a lot. I work on a lot of material in those environments. I felt like I was called to do that.
Right. And I still do clubs. I mean, I have a home club, not far from me, but I had to kind of learn that that wasn't the only way. Just the stereotypical, oh, I got to keep going to the club, and then eventually they'll let me on a show, that kind of stuff.
Sure. And the thing is, my wife used to go with me a lot. But just to piggyback on what you were saying about how disgusting a lot of them are, my wife is like, look, I love you and I support you, but I'm never going to walk into this place again.
Frozen, buddy.
She was like, I can't do it. So I get what you're saying. It's a pretty tough environment. And so you just have to stay prayed up when you go in there, and then you get a lot of opportunities to witness to young comics. I tell a lot of young comedians, I go, look, dude, you're really funny, but let me tell you something. You're never gonna be on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or Seth Meyers or Conan O'Brien with that stuff. You're not Bill Burr, you're not Louis C.K., all that stuff. And let me tell you something. At the drop of a dime, Bill Burr can do a clean set on Jimmy Kimmel.
Absolutely.
So it would benefit you to try to get 3 or 4 clean sets in your back pocket. I try to tell these young guys that all the time.
I do,
and they're starting to listen to me. And I've had some guys on my show, because I produce shows as well. And as a guy, you can be on my show, but you're gonna have to be family friendly. And so anyway, I've been able to work. God's been able to work through me to reach some of these comics. But it's tough business, Donnie. It's pretty dark in there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that now, now that I have the experience, the stage time, the chops to be able to do this, I am now in that position as well where I can, mentor younger comics. I mean, I'm very involved in my scene here locally in the Tampa Bay area. So, I mean, I know all the comics. They all know me. Whether or not they think my act is their cup of tea, because whatever, but most of them, I get along with really well, and we do a lot of shows together, and I have a clean room, and I have a show I run once a month, and I bring comics who who are funny, who I'm like, hey, and they're coming to me. I'm not even asking them to do it. They come to me and they say, hey, when can I do your room? And I said, well, it's clean. They're like, yeah, I want to work on it, And so now it's kind of become part of the culture in my in my scene, where if people want to start working on clean stuff, they know to come to me, because they know that I'm kind of the clean comic of, the area that, is the resource for these guys. So
yeah,
it's really cool the way God's positioned everything and brought me through it to where now I can have, an influence in that way too. So yeah, I'm so thankful for that, man.
Where are you located, Donnie?
So right now I live just outside of St. Petersburg. So just south of St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
So I was living in Tampa, then I went to St. Pete, which is southwestish. And then now I'm south of there because I just happened to land here. Thankfully, I have like a lot of work that I do for my day job here too. So it's, it worked out. So
I was in Miami in February, and I have family down there. So me and my wife and kids, we go down there every summer. So my wife was like, you know what, honey, I'm going to give you a pass. You go out every night because, I obviously don't abuse it, having a family. So she said, go out every night. So I went out 8 nights in a row, and I actually turned a corner. I mean, my comedy just went up to another level, and the vibe in Miami's light and festive. Now I'm in DC. I'm located in DC. And so it's kind of a cerebral political atmosphere in DC. So people tend to overthink jokes. It's like you can't just like deliver anything. It's like it's got to be you're forced to write good stuff, or it's going to be tough for you. So anytime I leave DC, I tend to do pretty well because it's so tough here. But I just love Florida, man. I mean, everybody's just having a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the comedy scene has actually changed drastically since I first started, because I started in 2008. And, so when I took off and I actually moved to Texas for a while, and then by the time I came back 4 years ago, it was completely different. The vibe, the people, it's a very accepting group, where, it's a very friendly group, thankfully. And so again, God, I feel like has, orchestrated this stuff to where now, I'm able to have, really good relationships with the comics. And also, they know what I'm about, and they know that I'm a resource and that I want to help everybody and love everybody. So, if they want to learn how to do clean comedy, I'm all about it. So,
I've seen you. Listen,
it's a good position to be in right now, and I'm on stage at least 5 nights a week usually. So
I think you can go anywhere with your comedy, Donnie. I mean, you could go anywhere, dude. I mean, because you do great crowd work, and you got your guitar there, and you're just going back and forth with people, and you can do comedy anywhere. I mean, and that's the thing about it. People, it's not about using profanity. It's about being an entertainer.
Right.
And being funny. That's all people ask.
Mm-hmm.
And the expletives is just a cop out. When you use cuss words, that's nothing but a cop out. Now, that's nothing against Richard Pryor or George Carlin or any of those.
It doesn't take away the funny. Again, if it's funny, it's funny. But
but see, here's the thing, Donnie. Those guys and like Steve Martin, I can go on and on. Guys that were old school that used to use a lot of profanity, they could do a clean set just like that.
Yep.
You see,
well, a lot of them, even Carlin included, started out with light and clean kind of comedy, and because he had to get on TV, and then by the time he has an HBO special, then he can go off about whatever he wants. So a lot of people,
100%,
don't recognize that part of it.
How do you deal with hecklers, Donnie? If you've ever had any, I don't know if you've ever had any hecklers.
Oh,
absolutely. How do you deal with
I have fun, man. I have fun. My favorite heckler story is, and I get them, as much as probably anybody else, but but also because of the dynamic of my act and communicating with the audience and playing with people, like I feel like it makes me more of a target for that.
Your style kind of lends itself to it a little bit.
It does. But the good news is that I've had a lot of practice in dealing with hecklers. And my favorite story is I had a I was doing I guess a feature spot. It was I was supposed to do 30 minutes. So, but it was like a co-headliner or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I was doing 20. I did 29 minutes out, because I was just supposed to do about 30. So I did 29 minutes. 26 of the 29 minutes, I was dealing with a heckler. 26 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So this was a new room too. So it was like, it was a relatively new room. They didn't really know how to police, this kind of stuff. And and they like I've talked to him about it. I was talking to the guy the other day about it because he likes to bring up this story, and he's like, yeah, like we it was going well, so we just let you go. And I was like, okay, because it was, this guy was he was just not aware of social boundaries at the time. He'd been drinking quite a bit, and he just decided after every time I would set up a joke or a premise, he would just give some words to add to it, I guess.
Would add on to it.
So he would have it was like we were just having a conversation, me and him. And
oh man.
So it went really well because again, I'd been experienced with hecklers, but I also, there were just so many things happening in the room and things that I could pull from to try to, I give him a little attention, but then I bring him, like, hey, okay, it's okay. And then, it kept like, it would escalate a little bit, and then he would kind of like nod off, and then I'd have to talk about him nodding off. And then, so.
Oh man.
It was weird. But the crowd, their response was just an uproar of,
they were loving it. They were loving it.
Oh
yeah. Wow.
Man. Like it was kind of magical, but it was also like, after about maybe 24 minutes in, like that was the point where, and I was a little bit alarmed because I don't usually get angry, like, especially when I'm doing comedy. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, sure.
There was a point though, and the show was going well, so like I was like, oh, this is fine. But then there was a point where I really got angry, and I was like, okay, all right. I need to kind of check myself because I don't want to like yell at an old drunk guy. So it was very interesting. But again, the crowd loved it. The venue loved it. They talk about it to this day. So and I actually put a little compilation on my YouTube channel of like, it's awful video, awful audio, but quality wise. But I put the subtitles of what was going on, what he was saying and what I was saying. And it's, I kind of put like 6 minutes together of that 29 minutes or 26 minutes of him doing that. So so it's up there, and a lot of people like to watch it just because they see how how brutal it can be with a heckler. But again, the crowd loved it. So at the end of the day, I wasn't really mad. It just, that kind of, for a minute, it was like, guy, this guy's being so disrespectful, and and because and also for the crowd, because I was like, well, you guys, they all paid money and to see a show, and this guy's just like hijacked the whole thing. But but everybody loved it. Awesome. So
that's awesome, Donnie. That's all. And you know what, dude? The thing is, I think stand-up comedy is the purest art form that exists. I mean, you can talk about musicians, you can talk about even improvisational comedy, which I respect a lot, which is really tough.
I don't know why we keep freezing, man.
Yeah, I can. I'm going to refresh my page, Donnie, and see if that works.
Okay, because
I don't want to lose you, but
I have a really good signal. I have strong internet here, so.
Okay, here I am. Donnie, I'm back. Can you see me now?
So, I got you.
I guess it may be my Wi-Fi is just weak, but Donnie, let me just say this. Stand-up is the purest. You can't get angry. You know what I mean? It's like,
oh, yeah.
The effect's like, if you ever get angry, they got you.
They win. Yeah.
They win. You can't get mad. You got to maintain that light, position.
Yeah, so, it was all internal. I just stuffed it down like I always do, so it's fine.
No, but it can happen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it can. You just gotta maintain. And I thank God it hasn't really happened to me a lot. But
Right.
usually people have been drinking too much and they think they're helping you because they don't know what they're doing. And you go, oh hey dude, you know what? You're right, but look, hold on a second, check out the rest of this stuff, dude. Hold on, and you keep talking, and then and sit down. They might say one more thing, and I'll appease them one more time, and they'll sit most of the time. But every now and then you'll get some tough situations. What's your
Yeah, that doesn't
worst?
usually happen like to that degree. Usually I can shut down a heckler, relatively quickly. If they really, get escalated, I can, go a little bit higher. But usually I'm in a room where, the club owner or the manager is going to come by and say, hey, just, kind of cool it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, hey Donnie, I was doing a show once, dude. And the guy that was taking the names, I got there early, and the guy was like, "Okay, cool." And 20 minutes later, I looked up, and everybody's signing on the list. No one said anything to me, right? So now I'm angry. I'm legitimately angry, right? So I go over, I get the list, I sign up, and another comic said, "Oh, Maurice, don't worry about it. It's just a list. When he does the comic call, that he'll fix it." And I said, "Okay," and he didn't fix it, and I'm like ninth. Now, Donnie, I'm mad. So I go up there when I finally get called, and I knew I was going to kill that night when I walked in the door, right?
All right. You froze, but I'm back. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh man, this is so tough, dude. Well,
I
let me
know.
skip the story. Let me ask you, what's your worst bombing experience, Donnie?
Oh, there's so many. Let's see.
Okay.
Worst bomb. I'd say it was pretty early on. Um, okay, yeah, this one's good. All right, so I I was asked to do 20 minutes of comedy for it was a nonprofit fundraiser.
Okay.
So I said, great, that it sounds pretty good. I think we could do that, no problem. And I had 20 minutes of jokes, but I was still, not, I wasn't a pro yet.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you learn a bunch of lessons all at one time. And so it's a corporate event, basically, and they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to start, basically, you're going to go up on stage and you're going to welcome everybody. And then you're going to just start going into your jokes.
Yeah.
And yeah. I didn't really know any better, like, than to not do that. Well, so the room was like, I think it was like 700 people. So it was a big ballroom, and they're like at a convention center. So I was like, I was excited. I was like, oh, we got a lot of people, this is great.
A lot of people there. Yeah.
Yeah. However, so there's a stage, and there's a dance floor, and then all the seats are way, way back.
Oh no, not good. Yeah, not good.
But then behind where all the seats were, you also had all the silent auction items in the very back. So people are, just browsing, having conversation.
Oh my God.
They don't know who I am or why I would be there. I'm not involved with the organization in any way.
Yeah.
So, so they, so they're like, yeah, you just go up. Yeah, just go up and, do your introduction and just welcome everybody and, ask them to take a seat.
Right.
Yeah. So I go up and I'm like, hey guys, yeah, we're, my name's Donnie. Thanks for having me. I guess, nobody's listening. And also the sound was bad to where the back half of the room couldn't even hear me. So those people that are all, just socializing, which is fine. I mean, you got the auction going. I mean, you want to raise the money. So I don't see why, but it was time to start the show. So I just kind of said, okay. And then I was like, well, we're going to start in 5 minutes because I thought that would give them time to sit down and stuff.
Right.
And then nobody sat down. except for there were some people right around the perimeter of the the dance floor who knew that there was going to be comedy. Nobody else knew there was going to be comedy. It was a kind of surprise comedy show.
That's not good either.
In the middle of this fundraiser.
Yeah.
And I was in Texas, and it was painful. So I started doing my act. I mean, I have like 3 tables listening to me. And I'm just doing jokes. I was just fighting to get through the set, got through my time. I said, all right, guys, now we're going to, pray for the food, because everybody's hungry, because nobody had food yet. Nobody's had, a chance to eat, but they're just like watching this. Why is this guy up here talking for 20 minutes? Yeah. So we got they got the food. Well, for the rest of the night, I was the MC. I was like, hosting, we're going to do this now. Now we're going to do this, and we're going to announce the raffle winners and all that. So throughout the night, they finally warmed up to me after just silence or very loud in the back. Up front, silent, very, very loud in the back. I was sweating quite a bit. But once we started doing all the, basically I just started doing kind of crowd work whenever I would get up there again. Yeah. Because now people are paying attention because they ate and they feel more settled. And I'm doing the
more relaxed.
Yeah. I'm announcing the winners of the raffles, and I'm kind of like riffing on their names and making, just little jokes. Yeah. So by the end of it, I was like, okay, well, I felt like that wasn't too bad. Like the next week, I met with those guys from the charity, and they're like, from the nonprofit, and they were like, yeah, we had a lot of people that were like, what is this dude doing jokes for? Why is, that was so weird when that comedian was up there. I was like, man, you thought it was weird. I thought it was super weird. But you have no idea. But yeah, that was a terrible. It was just all the circumstances were bad, for comedy. It just wasn't designed for comedy or for success as a having a comedic act just thrown in there.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's tough business. Donnie, am I frozen?
You were, but you're back.
Okay, now you're frozen. We're kind of going back and forth on it, but I can hear you, so it's all good.
Yeah, we're all good.
But no, dude, I've had that happen before when people are eating, and it's just there's certain things that are a setup for failure for a comic, and it seems like corporate events, most of the time they're disengaged or they're drunk. And I had one comedy friend, Jennifer O'Brien. She was doing a corporate event, and it was so bad. Everybody was up and walking around. Those little lasers they use during PowerPoints? Yeah. And they started pointing the laser at the comic, and they were playing with their face.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, it was so bad. Heckle. Yeah. It can be those are difficult circumstances. So
yeah. Well, and again, I didn't really know how to handle it because I had never been in that position. So, but yeah, I learned a lot of lessons. So I'm thankful for.
Well, bombing is a part of comedy. It's an unfortunate, uncomfortable part of bombing. It just comes with the territory, and it just happens. But you get stronger every time you come back. Right. And so it makes you better. How do you deal with butterflies before you get on stage, Don? With the nerves?
Yeah. So I still get the nerves right before going on stage. And so whenever I do, well, I have a every time I go on stage, I basically, just have this little pep talk I give myself. And oh, hey, June Von Colson. Oh, sorry, I just saw her pop up on there. June, yeah, she's my friend. She won the Clean Comedy Challenge in Nashville this year. Yeah, so congrats to her.
She's funny.
Yeah, she's great. She's awesome. So, but yeah, sorry, I got distracted, buddy. But yeah, as far as getting ready to go on stage, I always 99% of the time, if I forget because I'm trying to set up a video or something, maybe that'll happen. But usually I have two things I think about. I think about there's a verse in Proverbs that talks about, fear of man will prove to be a snare, but those who trust in the Lord are kept safe. So that
Amen.
that's one of those life verses for me where I'm like, okay, I know I'm a people pleaser by nature. So when I go on stage, I can't care too much about, what people may or may not be thinking of me.
Correct.
So there's that. The second one is just have fun. Because if you're having fun,
there you go.
They're going to have fun.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's really, those are the two things always that help me to prepare when I'm walking up to the stage. That's, if you're wondering what's going through my mind, that's what's going through my mind.
So that's kind of your process. You're just thinking about maybe some Bible verses and just trying to get yourself.
I mean, just that one. It's the whole fear of man thing, because that's personally just been a theme in my life where I've just, I've cared too much about what people think. And if I don't, and I just have fun, well, then usually things go pretty well.
How do you develop your material, Donnie? And how do you? Are you mostly a freestyler or?
So I would say my brain works a little bit differently than some of my friends, which I get a little sad about sometimes, because they can write jokes and they can just, mine it to death and be like, oh man, I figured out every angle about this one thing. For me, writing jokes is the most difficult part for me. It's the most difficult part of what I do.
Yeah.
I get ideas, I get a lot of clarity when I first wake up in the morning. So I feel like waking up in the morning, getting a shower, that kind of thing. Like I feel like I'm pretty creative at that time. John Peters. So yeah, so I just feel like things will come to me and then I'll write them down. I'll put them in my phone and then I'll say, okay, I want to try that on stage. Now, it's a loose idea. I have some, ideas of punchlines. I at least want to have a setup or premise setup punchline, maybe a couple tags. But the true writing for me happens on stage, because I get on stage and I start to kind of, like you say, kind of riff on whatever the idea is. So where I can find out, okay, is this funny about it? Is this funny? And then I'm always, when I'm on stage, I feel like I get the most clarity for what to deliver, which line to deliver. So yeah, I would say like it's a combination of, okay, I definitely have to write this thing down so I don't forget it, but then I go to work it out on stage, and hopefully I'll come up with some more stuff, and then I can keep working on it throughout the week or the month, and hopefully by the end of that, I either have a bit or I realize that it's not funny.
Well, you have that too, but I noticed that you're kind of a freestyler. I have a lot of respect for freestyler. There are not a lot of comics that can just kind of get up there and kind of, roll. Mike Epps does that a lot. But there are not a lot of comedians that are able to pull it off. To me, that's a whole other skill set, because I do a lot of writing. And
you froze again, buddy. I don't know what you're saying, but I feel like it was exciting, whatever you were going to say. I'm really sad that I'm missing it.
It's all right. You know what, Donnie? What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this page.
Okay, you're back.
Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back.
So you're like,
that's a whole other.
You're like, oh man, this is going to be awesome.
Skill set.
Yeah.
Being a freestyler is a whole other skill set.
Right. Right. And that's my strong suit. When it comes to comedy, that's kind of what I enjoy the most and what I feel the crowd enjoys the most when I'm there. So, I actually write my jokes now, which is I've gotten better at writing jokes over time. So I'm now at the point where I write my jokes to allow for crowd work. So they're crowd work centric kind of jokes. So I'm really looking forward to Dry Bar, because I told him, I said, hey, I do a little bit of music and I also, I do crowd work, and they didn't have a problem with that, because I didn't know if they were like gonna have, the setup for that.
When are you going to do Dry Bar?
October 2nd. We were filming October 2nd, 2 shows in Provo, Utah, and ship me in and ship me out. That's that is.
How did you get that gig, Donnie? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking
Whenever
with
you
Donnie
freeze, yeah, good.
Stopa. Donnie, how did you get that gig, the dry bar gig?
So I did the Clean Comedy Challenge in Nashville last year,
Okay.
and I was the audience vote winner for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a guy named Tim Grable. You probably know Tim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he saw my act. First of all, he told me my act was not funny. So I was like, okay.
Whoa. Oh my gosh.
Well, no, because it was the first night, and to be fair, the first night was not my best night.
Okay.
But it was after that, he was one of the people giving the critiques. So he's like, yeah, just like all the other judges were like, yeah, I think it's funny. I like this, and
Yeah.
they were giving me feedback. And he's like, yeah, I disagree. I didn't like it. I don't get it. I was like, okay, cool. So I had I was like, all right, I'm not even gonna try talking to this guy because I feel like he's kind of given his opinion of my comedy, and I'm not for everybody. That's fine. So, but then there were 2 more nights, and I never said a word to the guy, because people were chatting him up anyways. So I was like, I'm just gonna, this guy's not a fan. I get it. So
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, super nice guy, and I appreciate his honesty. That was I don't ever want to hear, oh yeah, it's fine. Like if you really have something to say that's gonna help me, like I want to learn.
Say it. Yeah.
Please, because I'd rather you do that than just say, oh, you're funny, man, you're great. So so I do respect that about him too. And so out of the blue, maybe like a week or 2 later, I got an email from him, just saying, hey, are you interested in doing, doing dry bar? And I said, yeah, sure. That'd be great. That's been which dry bar has been a goal of mine for years now. So I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. And then, so he's like, hey, can you do this date? And I said, yes. But I was like, it was after 30 minutes. And he's like, oh no, in like 5 minutes, I booked that one already. I was like, oh, okay. And this was a year ago.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, so we're trying to figure out dates and stuff. And then he's like, hey, can you send me some more video? I want more video to send to Dry Bar and all that. And I was like, okay. And then that's when I decided I'm going to film the special. So I did, sent the tape to him. He sent it to Dry Bar. Yep. He sent it to Dry Bar. The pandemic hit. So he was like, yeah, I'm talking to Dry Bar. Because I had the footage pretty quickly before it was on Amazon, obviously. So I sent it right over. Pandemic hit, and he's like, everything's on pause, everything's on hold. And then finally, when it opened back up, he contacted me and said, hey, what are your avails? I sent him my available dates. He said, how's October 2nd? I said, perfect.
Wow. And so
that's it.
The special Donnie really paid off. And I'm probably frozen again, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking.
You were, but
Donnie.
you're back. Okay.
So Donnie, the special paid off. It actually paid off.
Absolutely, yeah. Because again, it wasn't about doing a special; it was about getting the tape. The special was just a byproduct of it, and I'm thankful for it because it is, it's doing okay so far. I mean, I have. It's trending upward as far as views. It's getting more and more views and reviews and things like that, which really helps. So if you see the special, please leave a review because
it's on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon Prime, and also on Amazon you can purchase it for like $1.99 or something. But if you have Amazon Prime, obviously you can watch it. And again, if you leave a review, it helps me be more visible on the platform. So yeah.
Okay, well, we definitely got to keep that in mind. Donnie, we have destroyed this hour. I apologize for all of the glitches that we've had. This has been, I don't know how to explain this, but I do apologize. But we got through it. It was a lot of fun. Can you hear me, Donnie? I don't think Donnie can hear me once again. I may have to rephrase. This has been ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. This has been an interesting deal. Can you hear me, Donnie?
I'm back. Yes, sir.
Donnie, you're back. Okay, Donnie, I was just saying we killed the hour. I apologize for all the glitches, but we got through it.
We got through it.
It was fun, and I'd love to matter of fact, I want to talk to you after the show.
Sure.
If you don't mind hanging out a little bit longer. I want to remind everybody, coming up tomorrow at 2 p.m., I'm going to be on Sparkle Comedy with Mark Palchik. So check me out with Sandra Risser and Farley and Amanda Cohen.
I like her. She's my friend.
Yeah, this is the old folks show. I barely made the cut. Hey, Donnie, I made the cut.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
So that's going to be cool, man. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Check us out on Sparkle Comedy. Before we leave, Donnie, how can fans follow you on social media or contact you for booking?
Yeah. So the best way is DonnieTheEntertainer.com. DONNIE, TheEntertainer.com. And then also you can find me on YouTube. And you can either search Donnie Stopa, my name, or Donnie the Entertainer, which is my channel name. That's it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the very talented and very funny Donnie Stopa. And don't forget to check out his comedy special on Amazon Prime, Millennials, Am I Right? He's also going to be on Dry Bar Comedy probably sometime next year. You're going to do great, by the way, out there. The crowds are great out there in Provo, Utah.
I've heard they're very
really,
friendly.
really cool.
Yeah.
They're going to love you out there. You're going to kill. So, ladies and gentlemen, Donnie Stopa on the Maurice Brown Show. Check us out on Roku TV. We're on the Creative Motion Network. We both have show. Tell us a little bit about your show on that network before we break away.
You know, I don't own a Roku, but I hear it's up there. I hear I have stuff on there. So search me, I guess. On there.
Search him. Donnie's definitely
Creative
up
Motion Network. No, they're beautiful people though. I love talking with them and you know their heart for having good quality art on their program is awesome.
All faith-based programming. Your buddy JoJo White has a cooking show on that channel as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, check that out. In a couple of days, we're going to have this show on Roku TV, probably Thursday. And, of course, the Maurice Brown Show comes your way next week, Monday and Tuesday, as always. Once again, the very talented Donnie Stopa on the Maurice Brown Show. Thanks a lot, Donnie.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. You too. Thank you.